Thank you. This is the Public Safety and Legal Committee meeting. I'll just go over some norms as it relates to how this meeting will work. The meeting will be recorded. Notes will be taken. Do I have any members of the committee that would like to take notes? If not, I will move forward with taking them, but I wanted to make that offer. Okay, hearing none, I'll take them. Tonight's meeting, the Public Safety Committee meeting will be held tonight, April 14th at 6:30 via Zoom. The Zoom link was on the city's website as well as social media and other publications to bring awareness. And I'll start with roll call. Vice Chair of the Public Safety and Legal Committee, Awa Iyasu, if you could just mention you're present, then we'll know that you're here.
I'm present, yes.
Thanks. Public Safety and Legal Committee member, Council Member Deborah Johnson.
Present.
Thank you. Council Member Jamie Carroll, a member of the Public Safety Committee. Okay, doesn't seem to be here, totally fine. Public Safety and Legal Committee member and Mayor of the City of Clarkston, Ms. Beverly Burks.
The mayor will not be able to join us today.
Thank you.
She's been excused.
No problem. Thank you, Vice Chair. Public Safety and Legal Committee member Larry McClam.
Hey, how you doing? I'm here.
Thank you, Larry. All right. So we're going to start with the introduction of the meeting purpose. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the agenda items listed on the agenda that was submitted on social media websites as well as the city's website that we will discuss today. The first order, I would like to make a motion to remove item A, which is a discussion of enhancing security measures and video security surveillance at gas stations and convenience stores. Can I get a second?
I can second that. What happened?
I had a question. Yeah, that's my question.
Well, I discussed it with public safety and it's no longer needed. It'll be deferred until another meeting.
Another meeting?
Yes, a later meeting. Thank you. So we'll proceed with the agenda items listed today under the meeting for today's discussion, and we'll start.
Can we vote on it? I'm sorry.
Sure. Well, I don't know if we can take enough. Okay, let's vote.
I don't know, Mrs.
But see, we got to know what we're voting on. We don't have to vote. Okay, we're voting to remove it. Okay.
So we don't need to take an official vote. I think I can remove without an official vote.
Okay, all right, that works.
Okay. So we'll proceed with the agenda in the discussion of reimagining public safety. Social workers in the Clarkston Public Safety Department. This is an agenda item I put on the agenda for discussion for today's committee meeting after several years of talking to public safety around the services that they can render and their expertise and knowledge, as well as Chief Hudson most recently coordinated a call between the city of Clarkston and the chief of police in Gainesville, Chief Parrish, to discuss the benefits basically of him having social workers in his public safety department. And so again, this item is just for discussion. The reason I bring it up is because there are some issues that our community face that public safety officers do not have the expertise or knowledge to assist with. And in the past, we've had an MOU between the city of Clarkston and a public community provider that assisted us with an array of issues surrounding domestic violence or just providing adequate services and resources to vulnerable populations or individuals facing a crisis. And so I open this up for discussion. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand and we'll go from there. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I certainly agree with the need to incorporate a social worker with our police. At the same time, I also think I'm not sure how the other cities like our size do it. I assume that I'm just assuming that they work with the county, possibly. You know, we don't have like other things like SWAT team and like canines or other things that we also work with the county. And I'm not sure if the county does have a good, robust social worker program in their department. If they do, I would feel like at the beginning we should consider, or we would consider working with the county and getting the services, since we do already have a working relationship with other things, even fire. And so I'm not sure if our police department is capable of. The other option is, I would say that in the meantime, we should probably include training for our police department, or let's say at least one or two of our police department members would get some training, and the city would definitely pay for it and get them to get that necessary training to get that certification, if there is any certification anyway. If not, I think we certainly could also consider all our police to get some kind of training when it comes to like social interaction, or anything that has that would require a social worker. In the meantime, we probably should certainly be including, and I'm not sure, I think Sergeant Balcher is with us, so hopefully he could explain what is the existing procedure right now. But I would strongly encourage to have all our police to get the basic training, and or a few of them also could get like all the training that is required to certify them to be qualified as a social worker. And that might need some time. But in the meantime, I would strongly encourage our police to work with the county.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I think Sergeant Butcher advised, if I'm incorrect, that all of the officers are CIT trained. But in the past, we have used social workers here for some of the more intense, to actually address the issue that people are facing and actually provide those service referrals for them, whether that's counseling, therapy, group, if it's substance abuse issues, so that we don't have repeat offenders coming in and out of our system. So, and now I will pass it to crisis intervention training. Yeah. And I will pass it to Council Member Deborah Johnson.
Thank you. Yes, I totally agree with this initiative. Having a son that has battled mental illness, there is specialized training out there that need to be had to interact with people on any level. And I did have the pleasure of speaking with our assistant chief, and he did let me know of some of the training that specific officers have when engaging with anyone that is in a mental health situation. And then they actually have programs where they teach them how to diffuse situations and take ownership of the conversation. But I really think that we need this initiative based on the fact that Councilwoman Bell and myself actually had an encounter this month, well, last month, where we needed social services to step in and assist the little bitty city of Clarkston, and it was like pulling teeth. Even from the DeKalb was out of reach. Being in DeKalb, they were still out of reach. We do have some organizations here in the city that have services available, but social, a professional we don't have. So I think that this is really needed and very beneficial.
Thank you, Councilwoman Johnson, for your comments. Vice Chair. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, I totally agree. And I even forgot that about a year ago, my son, he came on the city council meeting and made a comment about training our police officers on dealing with people with autism. And I certainly agree. I mean, this is really a new phenomenon. I mean, autism is still being studied, and we still don't really know the entire spectrum, but I think we definitely need to consider, being our police officers also being conscious of people with autism, and there is a really increasing number of children. I'm pretty sure in our city that has been impacted by this, so that definitely could be also part of the discussion.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I'll also bring a point that when I took the ride along with the police officers, I talked to a sergeant as well as some officers around some of the mental health disparities that we actually have in our community and how they just don't have the skills or the knowledge to adequately address them. And even when it comes to domestic violence, giving them, paperwork that may be in their language if we had that resource. At the time we didn't, so it was in English, a pack paper in English, and so that doesn't actually meet the need. And we're trying to reduce seeing the same actions created or not understanding different behaviors, even substance abuse, right? If additional resources are needed, that is the whole thought process of this initiative. I would bring forth Sergeant Bolcher if you want to add anything from the department, as well as a public safety and legal committee member, Mr. McClam, if because you're an officer as well.
Good evening, guys. I can say that with CIT training, it touches basically all the basic needs of training officers. Actually, in-class training. I believe it's a week training right now, and it's actually in class. We are in the process of trying to set up every officer to go to CIT training, and we do still do our yearly training, which is, you have to do family violence training every year with Post, and those are all done online, and like community relations and public encounters and stuff is one of the mandatory governor initiatives that he put in place a couple of years back, that we have to mandatory hours that we have to do. So we do have the basic training here, and that we do have a few officers that have already gone to CIT this year. I believe our goal, don't quote me on it, but I believe the goal is for all of our officers to have CIT. We have, of course, we have the new recruits in the academy now, and once they get out, we should be planning on sending them. But the goal is to eventually have all officers CIT trained within the department.
Thank you, Sergeant Bolger. Mr. McClam, you put something in the chat box. Would you like to verbalize it for recording purposes or just to verbalize?
Oh, no, fine. I was just explaining to Vice Mayor what CIT was as far as the crisis intervention training.
Yes, thank you for that. Now, what I'll say is that these are techniques that are taught for de-escalation for the most part. These are not individual. Through this training, you do not learn how to assess an individual and adequately provide adequate intervention based off of what they are going through to help them best cope with it. And so that is why there will be a need for someone with expertise and knowledge and training, as well as education in the social work field, to actually address the crisis that they're in. Because initially, an officer could go to something because of substance abuse and not realize that they also may have a mental health issue that is undiagnosed or diagnosed and not treated. And so this would be us providing, and also knowing what are the community services throughout DeKalb County, throughout our county, throughout our city, that they can make referrals to actually address the real issue. And I'll pass it back to Councilmember Josh. You're on mute.
Thank you so much, Martine. I had a question about the budget. Does the police department have it in their budget to accommodate this position, or how would that work? Have we spoken with the city manager?
So they do not currently have it in their budget. However, that's why we're bringing it up for discussion, because we do have ARPA funds, and those funds as well can be used for, or as the council can approve, to move forward with making adjustments to the budget. Now, what I will say is that currently the Clarkston Police Department has vacant positions. Those are public safety positions, but after talking to the city manager as well as the chief of police, if this is something that the city would like for us to move forward, as well as the council approval, I'm sure we can make those adjustments.
adjusting, using a position we currently have for the new one? Or what, or just, no, we need
mean,
as much security as possible, you think? I
So we
don't
need
know. I think maybe creating something new would be more beneficial than utilizing what we have in other avenues, unless we're hiring somebody with that specialty. You know
and
what
that
I'm
could be an
saying?
option too.
Right.
But I agree with what you're saying. And it could be either or, to answer your question, Councilmember Johnson. I think that after the community has decided and then the council has approved it, then it will be up to the city manager as well as the chief of police to figure out how to make it happen
Got it.
and provide the best recommendation for how we should move forward without reducing security and safety for individuals.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions on this item where we're discussing reimagining public safety by incorporating or having the option of social workers in the department? I do. Oh yeah, please speak.
Hi. I think this is would be a huge benefit to the city. And I would love to see this be enacted. There's a person on our street that suffers with some significant mental issues. And we are very specific if something happens that we call the Clarkston police, not the cab police, because the Clarkston guys have handled it so well. Thank you, Sergeant Vulture. In the past, they've been able to talk him down and have a nonviolent resolution to all of this. Whereas I do not in any way trust that the cab would be able to do that. And so I would love to support what the Clarkston PD are already doing in this effort in a way that can just help them make it better. At the end of the day, I'm really worried about a lot of the things that where mental issues get mistaken and misread, and it ends up in some violent ends that don't need to be. And then people also get lost and shuffled in the system, and you get issues that range all over from, it's just so many levels. So if we can get somebody specific that can handle this, the cops that are there are already doing so many jobs. So I encourage, like Deborah said, the individual position or the separate position. I know that can be complicated and difficult, but I just feel like the police that are here are already doing so many hats in their jobs that if we can support them with a separate or an additional support, that would be great.
Thank you for your comment. Can you identify who you are just for the record and for notes?
Amy Medford on Roland Street.
Thank you, Amy. I know who you are, but I just want to make sure everybody's clear. Okay, any other questions or comments on this discussion? Okay, here and now we'll proceed to agenda item for the discussion of youth fitness and mentoring with Clarkston Police Department. And the mayor, Mayor Beverly Burks, requested that this item be added. And Vice Chair, because you unmuted yourself, I'm gonna pass it to you because I'm sure that you have insight on this.
Yes, thank you. So the mayor did ask me to say a few words about this. And I think the idea is great and it's pretty straightforward. The idea is to create some positive experience for our youth through fitness, sports, and mentoring with our police department. And this will involve primarily our police department, and they would partner with other organizations within the city or outside the city that serve our community with like venue. For example, we have a church that has a basketball court, and that will be a partner with us. First Baptist Church has been hosting our summer youth basketball programs the last couple of years, and that would be part of this. And other thing, I have also been discussing with the mayor that we could include a martial arts program that we could hire on time to time basis experienced martial artists, and they would have a class or a program. It could be annual. I mean, it could be monthly, it could be weekly, and then where they would come and train people who already register, and we see their interest, and if we can fill in a class, then we could start a program, something like that. And as a program that the mayor mentioned is like a chess game tournament, and this could be also be mentored by our police department. And so the overall idea is pretty simple. It's just to use our existing relationship with like First Baptist Church and others, and it could be involved in DeKalb County or primarily our police department. But if there are better resources through DeKalb County, like we did in the past, so that would be pretty much to create some activity starting from next summer. And the mayor mentioned that we could start with a $100,000 budget from ARPA for these programs, and that would be something we could start doing from next summer. I think that pretty much sums it up, and this is pretty straightforward.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So I'll jump in here. I have my hand raised to say that I think the idea of this is great, but this kind of duplicates the effort of the DeKalb County PALs, which we worked with before, as you mentioned, around engaging our youth, and they've done a great job of it, and we provided support as necessary. The other thing about this is, I think this could be a great initiative, but I think it also should come out of the Youth Advisory Commission, because we created it so that youth will have a voice and to ensure that they actually actively participate, as well as it's something like they can tell us what they want to do. And of course we can attribute funds to it. But those are just my initial thoughts, and I will pass it to Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is about this $100,000. How did we get that number? That's a big number for a program of this magnitude that is pretty much already doing some of these things. So my thing is, do we have data to support the $100,000, like a breakdown of what activities, or anybody working on this right now?
The mayor did not specifically tell me how she got the number. However, I certainly do not think it's huge, considering the need. We are talking about having professional trainers supervise and be part of this, whether it is training youth, basketball, or it could be mentoring youth with martial arts or chess tournaments. It will require some like, we got to purchase the things that they need, the equipment, and the trainers, and the venue. So those are the three biggest parts. And of course, police department also will be involved. And I think the number sounds big, but if you think about it, a 1 hour training with a professional martial arts training could be in the hundreds. Well, so if we are thinking about training our youth for a few hours every week, that could in itself be at least about $30,000. So, right. And then if we talk about basketball, it would be the same. We got to use their venue, and we got to pay for the venue. We got to pay for equipment for their sports clothing, and so that adds up. But I really am not exactly sure if she had figured out the number where each number is going to go to. But I think it's a good start. And the thing is, if we don't use it, it's not like we're going to lose it. So we just could do as much as we can with what we have at that point.
Okay.
And if there is more money left, that's Mary, so we could use it for next year.
If I may finish, okay. Well, basically, I think that this is a good idea and it is doable. However, a conversation is a conversation, but we need details. We need to show the breakdown of what we're trying to do. Are these young men and women going to be competing in tournaments? We need those type of logistics. And the number could go up if we knew the extent of the program. Are there the basketball team? Are they going to play other cities? Are they gonna be traveling? So that's the type of detail that I'm referring to. But it's a very awesome program. I think it would really benefit the kids here in the community, and the way and the fact that there's other things to do. If I had 4 kids and 2 of them wanted to play basketball, the other one wanted to do chess, the other one may even want to play soccer, it would be awesome. But we need details, logistics, facts, that type of thing, so that we can reach that common ground. So yeah, I get it. You're filling in. So thank you for the information you did provide. But yeah, this needs a little more work.
Thank you for your comment, Councilmember
Thank you.
Johnson. And what I'll say is that I will say this again, that I don't know if we should be duplicating programs that already exist, maybe modifying their program to ask if there's a certain subset of Clarkston residents that are already in DeKalb PALs. And the reason I bring that up is because the venue and a lot of logistical things that were brought up, I'm sure they already have relationships and partnerships with that we don't know, that hasn't been discussed yet. But I'm sure that there are some, because they have been utilizing a lot of the church space to have those basketball games, because I've attended them. And so I'm just being mindful of not duplicating efforts, but utilizing the resources already there, and maybe working with them in partnership to have more Clarkston residents that are a part of it, youth that are a part of it. But also just be mindful, we have a youth advisory committee. We should also be employing them to kind of let us know what they want to be doing, instead of coming up with partnerships, until we get enough folks on it. And we're already starting that process of recruiting. But I'll stop there and open it up for member Mr. Larry McClam. Do you have anything that you would like to add, as well as Sergeant Bolcher?
No, Councilwoman Bell. I'm good. You
Thank
guys
you.
bring up good points.
Thank you, Larry. Sergeant Bolcher?
Excuse me. I could say that we I don't know if you're familiar, but we did a basketball game with the Positive Growth last year between it was Clarkston PD versus Positive Growth. We had T-shirts made and all that. That was a good turnout and impact on those guys. And if we could continue something like that, that would be great. And we used the church for free. I got with Pastor Moore. He allowed us to use it. We have a bunch of resources. It's just there's just some little hurdles here and there, but we can do it.
Thank you, Sergeant Butcher, for that comment. I think it's doable to do an annual game, as you mentioned, easily. And now I'll pass it to Vice Chair Awad Yasu and then Councilmember Johnson.
Yes, so I just want to clarify a few points. So, I just want to say that this would not really duplicate what DeKalb County is doing. We would just add to it. I'm pretty sure we have so many kids that we cannot really satisfy the need with just one program like we were doing last time. So it would just supplement it. And I also agree that, in the future that we will certainly consult with the Youth Advisory Committee. And but in the meantime, we definitely could start some programs and probably perfect them with the youth's advice in the future. But I also want to say there are a lot of programs that we're not doing. The martial arts idea that I have been having a conversation with the mayor actually started with a former resident who was a martial arts expert, and but at that time there was pandemic, so we could not do it. But now when I think about it, this could be done outdoor, this could be done anywhere. It doesn't need a space, as long as we have a big field, open field, where we could train as many as we can. per session, and it definitely we need to fill up more details, and I think we could do a request for proposals in the future if the council believes this is something that worthy to explore. So with a request for proposals, we could look at each proposal and the city manager would approve it, and we'd work on them. So this certainly it's just a start, because we really have a lot of things that we could fill in. There is a big gap. So this is just a start. I just want to say that.
Vice Mayor took care of my question, but I had a question for Sergeant Bolger. You basically stated that you guys have some things already in place. Now, if we were to allocate funds towards what's already in place, could it help modify the program that you have going on? Or because I heard you say something about you have hurdles every now and then, or obstacles. So is that an option as far as that part of the program goes?
So the obstacles that we have is just trying to get these kids to come out and interact with us.
Oh.
That's our obstacle. I mean, we can go out all day and say, hey, we have this big basketball game, out here, but are they going to show up? I've got a couple officers that work here at the police department. I know you guys probably know Boyd and Frazier, and they're real big into basketball. And we did that basketball tournament with Positive Growth. But with doing that with Positive Growth, of course, it's a different, that we can't interact them with the regular public and stuff like that. So it was just a one-on-one with us, and we were trying to make that an annual thing. Just because, those kids are, some are less fortunate, some they're just having a bad time in their life, and, having more interactions with us would, I feel have a more rapport when we do have to make contact with them. But the hurdle that we have is them showing up, of having people come out and show up. So, I mean, it's just that we got to find a solution on how to bring them to us. That's what, that's our hurdles.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Wait, I'm sorry, Councilmember Johnson, were you finished talking?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, I'm done.
So I think that's helpful content, Sergeant Bolger, around really the need here is trying to figure out outreach and recruitment to get them engaged in some of these activities before we create new activities. Okay. And I think maybe that needs to be some data collected on assessing what are the needs, or what are the wants of youth in our community. I think that the basketball game was a great start, but it also is clear that recruiting younger folks, even for the Youth Advisory Commission, has been a challenge. And so maybe we're not doing things that they would like to do, or that we're not engaging them on the best platforms or means. And I think that's another conversation for discussion on how we engage them. But I think we do start there to figure out, if we can recruit folks and engage them, what do they actually want in a youth program? And then from there, figure out what partnership makes sense. And then I'll pass it back to Vice Chair.
Thank you. I think I just want to stress the big element of this item is the mentoring part. So, I mean, like Sergeant Bolger brought, the biggest element is how do you attract them? So right now, I mean, you can do things simple with where you could give them rewards like a push-up competition. This is a simple thing, and I'm pretty sure our police department could have volunteers from our police department who could be part of this, and they could. I mean, I've seen so many videos on YouTube or Facebook that actually go viral when there is a police department competing with local youth. It could be push-ups, it could be basketball hoops or anything. So I think the idea would be to give them rewards. That would attract a lot of youth if you tell them you're going to get rewards if you win. And once we start doing that, I am pretty sure that the young folks, they like challenge, and they also like, I'm sure, the rewards. So we could use those definitely, and in using those, we could create good working relationship with our youth, and that way we could mentor some young kids and help them grow with a working and respectful relationship with law enforcement in general.
Comment, Vice Chair. And I just reiterate that I think the mentorship program, that part of it is quintessential and important for their development, socially and professionally, and just long term to help them reach goals. However, but we have to engage and have to figure out a way to recruit and reach them first before we can even mentor them. So I think there's still some work that needs to be done there. I think we can definitely come back to the drawing board and figure out what works, and then also get insight from members of this committee as well as the police department on if there are already programs that exist and how they want to co-partner with them if the youth are already there, to bring them along to some of this mentorship program and just develop what that looks like for the long term. Now, without further ado, are there any comments from the public on this agenda item discussing the youth fitness and mentoring with the Clarkston Police Department?
I do. It's being mentored on Roland Street again. I would strongly encourage you to cooperate or complement, don't compete with programs that are already out there. There's programs that are out there, and it's possible to work with them and complement them. It's also very possible to compete with them, and that's not what you want to do. You don't want to offer another program that's being offered by DeKalb, and you guys are both all going after the same pool of kids. And what ends up happening is one program ends up robbing kids from another program, or both programs end up getting less results because they were targeting the same group. I've seen this happen in some other programs that I've worked with and volunteered with. So the way to avoid things like that is to do a really good inventory on what programs are being offered and what they're doing and how they're getting their kids, and so that you can work with them to enhance what they already have, not offer a competitive or a competing program time block activity, so that instead of working together, you guys end up dividing each other out. The other thing is, while this is a great start for 100K, I know that programs can be a lot. So the number isn't the part that bothers me. I want to know how you're going to keep it going past that first summer when you don't have ARPA funds. Is this something that the city and the department are going to be able to maintain and sustain? Because relationships aren't built in one summer. They're built over several summers. Positive things and those outcomes that you're looking for don't happen after one encounter. They happen after a lot of encounters. And so I think that it is important to do things and to think about it on a sustainability level. How can you maintain this and keep this going? I think Vulture brought up a brilliant point, which is getting the kids out there. If you aren't into the community and actually figuring out what it is that those kids need and how to reach them, then I don't care what rewards you offer, they're not going to show up. So that's going to be a really important thing. And the way to do that is to talk to the community members, talk to the folks that are in the community with the youth advisory board that you're getting going, to find out what are ways that the youth engage, how can you reach them. Maybe you don't send out emails, maybe you post it on TikTok or Instagram instead, and that's what they're using. Whatever it is, find that platform and use that, meet their needs. But if you don't know what their needs are, your rewards are meaningless. If you can't sustain this program, it's a one-off summer and it's not going to accomplish the goals that you're claiming it to do. So this is awesome. So let's find a way to keep it going and make it be successful. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Amy, for your comment. Are there any other members of the public that would like to comment at this time? Okay, hearing none. Thank you all for your time and discussion at tonight's Public Safety and Legal Committee meeting. I am going to move forward in adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn tonight's Public Safety and Legal Committee meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.